Yeah, true love is the answer. Trey Parker. Shush. This is our world now. Trey Parker. It is the epiphany of our vertical, our standing form, the great erection of man. It's me, Randolph Pan Williams, to organize and overhaul the American engine, presidential candidate, Green Party, the Wolf, 2020 elect. Shra. Pantry, seed, supervising, causing the right things, causing the true epiphany. There is a disconnect in the languages, but it is not an assault. It is not a sign of ignorance, and it is not a sign of failure on the side of South Park or myself. Hmm? All the good things are there. All the good things are happening. Last night I had an intense epiphany. I was meditating on this issue. And it really is that Trey and I meditating have brought ourselves into a position where the world is speaking in newfound ways. And it's sort of like a giggling animal. Sometimes animals laugh. And it's not to be confusing that language as like an insult or a distortion. We simply need to be bigger than the problem and rise above it and be the cure. And so when you guys produce the Green Wolf, you really are defeating the problems that I see in the world, the types of holdbacks. That's why we need Trey to be a visionary direct producer of Randolph Payne Williams, because like there's not, because I'm eclectic and wiry or whatever, but I think that you guys see how we work together so perfectly. And so, when we see stuff like that, let's try to just give it enough space to grow to fruition and be cool with it. And as for my side of it, I just more and more I'm having recognition with my own life and with America. I'm falling in love with America. I'm falling in love with running for president. And there's some very obvious pitfalls or dialogues about business and money, and these are all things that are sort of pre-existing. And really, my campaign theme is about changing this stuff. Okay, but I don't think we should say, I don't think we I think it's foolish to say like, oh, I don't understand how that this would work technically. Can we finance his campaign? Like, I think that that's common sense. Like, you can tell he's, because of the Green Wolf, this will work. But it's not like, we need to be set free from the type of corporate suspicion. You know what I'm saying? Because our motivation for producing the Green Wolf is not because we need money. And that can be said, across the board. Everyone involved here is not doing this for money. And so that's awesome and it's powerful and that's real. And me from, I'm coming from my position and everything is just like, you can tell that I'm a communicator and that's why I want to do this. That's awesome. I think that's what's so good about it, is like the types of things that could be pure from my intention vein do exist. The honor is there to complete it so that we can do the adult thing for this generation and sort of get back on track with like an ascension plan that actually works with nature and with humanity. And I think America can pioneer in it. I think we've long been seeing how the world views and cradles, or at least, you know, the suspension of them and to America is always like, oh, so much potential. And it's just, and if you look historically at America, you'd be kind of like, uh, are you sure? But I'm thinking like, with the golden, streets are paved with gold and the gold statues. I'm almost feeling like sometimes I can see a little glimpse of the future, and then I'll weave it into my stories and be like, "Oh, and this and that." But actually, and I think Trey sees it and he's like, "Oh, huh," because he's like, "Oh, that's actually this type of, yeah." It's amazing, and so it's exciting and stuff. So it's sort of like, the Traypan seed and the meditation on magic that Trey and I are doing is mostly about applied mark making, applied intention, and like we're working hard, and that means like making marks on paper or having a conversation or designing the most magnificent spiritual blade, which is designed specifically for the breaking point technique, the Randolph blade. I intend to deliver it to Trey Parker as one of the actions of the first son of South Park. This is like the vocabulary of making things personal and leveling things up and giving America a voice and a hero so that they can do right for themselves and for their country. In my final Spadoinkle Day performance, I passionately challenged Matt Stone to be a great American parent, a great father of America. And in my meditation last night, I was rocked by the soul of Matt Stone, who fervently accepted my challenge. He said, "This is the second time that he's challenged me to parent American. God damn it, I'm going to do it." And I was shooken and changed by the resolve of Matt Stone. I respect you, Matt. There's more to be done, there's more work to be done. But the Kingdom of Light gave me such inspiration and spoke to me clearly that you have ascended in your own life, Matt. You did. You grew and you saw the invitation to grow. And you're starting to become powerful in the transformative spirit of the next thing that we're doing today. What is the next thing that we're producing? What is our next project? And so, to honor this and to make real the power of Matt Stone, I present to you the Kyle Blade. This is an ancient blade that I've used in many battles and is seen in some of my films. It is a spiritual blade, breaking point, and I worked with the blade to convert certain things that were specifically desired and requested by Kyle Brofslovsky of South Park. And so this is specifically designed like a chainsaw blade. It runs a dot matrix rendering of the South Park solution as seen through the eyes of Kyle Brofslovsky. And so when Matt Stone does wield this blade alongside Trey Parker with his Randolph blade, you will solidify with breaking point technique the mastery of my craft and my lifetime's uh, perfection, my art, and in return, I ask for the training I will require to be the first son of South Park. I meant to go into slideshow mode, um, because I had some more slides to do there, but it's almost like the current and the pattern and the strength of our meditation here or where we're at right now, like, overtook that. And like, Matt, thank you for being real with us. And I can tell in the news this morning that you have joined the battle with Trey Parker, helping us to comprehend the urgency of this season. It is underplayed. It's like really scary. And but you know what I'm sensing from people that I truly admire is that they're detecting a way that Americans specifically, but humanity in general, it's so American though, but because America's like this, you know, it's like, but we're like in whatever some smaller country, like basically they're just they're yeah yeah yeah, they live a beautiful and perfect life, and that's their contribution. Whereas in America is really thinking on a whole different level, and I think it's prelude to us, you know, graduate the art world with the golden statues, and then you're in the chi level. We're gonna have to, read the room. But when we're there, leveling it up and like explaining to the world why America is so advanced and different. And I plan to tackle real issues like the oil industry and fast food and the relationship of money between the government and the people. And so it's incredibly adult and an extreme meditation for society and for men. And so it's not for people to be like embarrassed that they're interested and they want to like talk about this and ask, where are we with this? That involvement is natural to the presidential issue. How do we get there? How do we begin? Well, that's what's awesome about the Trade Pantsy is we've already begun. We inside of this template, we're making sure that all the perfect like beginning enzymes and things that we need are there in a clever way. And so using general specifics with your water prism, you can navigate yourself and help yourself find what you need. The solution is there. We just need to work together as a team to help it to grow and bring it out. And there are things that men can apply to and do that the garden or plants or rocks and or fire or a river, they can't do it on their own. And those are the realms or the dimensions of enlightenment or like how do we get there? But that's what's awesome about you guys is you've already done most of the work to get there. And so you're in a place where this is a graduation for Matt Stone and Trey Parker, but you guys are incredible and very important Americans in every sense. And so I present this sword to you, Matt Stone, and I embrace you as a true warrior of light and a father of America. Thank you, Matt Stone. We do our best. And I'm very impressed by who you are, Matt. But as far as sort of how men usually work together, I'm seeing how my best friend, Brent Clockers, who is also Jewish, is sort of perfectly designed to um, balance our working relationship. And I'm seeing, studio time where you're able to joke with Brent Clockers. He's extremely sociable. He's like this guy. He's got like all these weird pockets and he always like gives people like little tokens and whatever he has. He's always collecting things, talking about things. He knows about everything. He used to be a bartender at the High Horse in Amherst. Um, he's just and right now he's slooping into alcoholism, and like whenever I come over, he's just like pounding vodka and like irrational, and I laugh, and I always tell him, I always like encourage his drinking because it's so Brent. Um, but I for myself, like I really don't like alcohol because I think it's one of the biggest um, confusions to performance. Like honestly, like there was a couple, like because I've been meditating with Trey this whole time. There was a couple times where like I got some beers or something the night before, or some red wine or something. The next day I performed and it was like awful. And I remember like I had this thing where, I even I like I got really upset because I was like, oh, I'm just not even connecting things like what I wanted to say. And I was like, never again. It's like, don't even, it was just like, it's a couple, like light drinking. It was like, but it's just, it scrambles you, man. It's weird. But like, that's not even my philosophy on what alcohol does or what it is. Hmm. But like, I saw how it affected my performance and I was like, oh no, boom. And then like, I had this really bad performance. So I was just like messing up, and then Trey got mad at me and he said, "I woo woo on you." He checked my privilege with the PC principal, and it's been a little bit spiritual ever since then. I love you guys so much, and I have some more pictures that I'd like to talk to you about, but I'm trying to get into the next chapter of my thing, which is why I'm standing. I am running for president. My name is Randolph. I'm in love with myself. I love what I'm doing. This is absolutely the most that I want to be doing right now, where I'm here right now, and you guys listening, this is where I want to be, and I'm so happy. I'm just shining. I'm like glowing with it. This is where I want to be more than anywhere else. I love you guys, um, and in the sincerity, the truth, and the value of that, like uh, something that actually helps you. Okay, so I'm always going to be pushing on that, and I've got that South Park microchip, which is on a shield, which is with the other character artworks that I have, the wolf shield, and then basically, yeah, like one of these, and it's always going to be in that way where you can sort of intuit me as a technician, and you'd be like, I feel like I have a really good idea for this, or I'm really good at that. I'd be like, all right, let's do it. And like, but like it's not going to be like a verbal thing. It's just energy, and it's the way I conduct my energy. And if you guys could get, or you specifically, Matt, if you could get to know me on that level, you'd be doing me and everyone else a huge service, because you'd be like, oh, well, he only wants to affect you in a constructive way because he's defensive. He wants to help you and bless you in your life. So, just I'm pretty sure we can. Come on, it's exciting. Come on, come on, and then we get them into a place where, a cozy glow, and then we explain to them this excitement about reclaiming the metals as value. And so it's all about us getting together and getting excited about getting all the gold in America. It's kind of like, fun, or like a spaghetti western, or just the romance of this uh of the year 2019. And so let's get excited about that. I think that, both of you guys have heard little snippets from, oh, like, oh, that's a really good idea. There's more there. There's also more in my notes and things that I didn't get to communicate or whatever. But so let's look at some more of those pictures. All right. Thanks, you guys. Thank you for tuning in here. Ugh. All right. So let's see what we've got. Um, all right. The Kyle Blade. It's definitely one of my favorite blades, actually, and one of my oldest ones. It has a lot of mechanics on it, and so actually, this mark here was designed to integrate like all of the work that this sword has already done, and sort of magnify because it helps both of us, right? Like you can do like m- mutual benefit stuff. But anyway, the sword has a lot of wisdom and is gearing through the Y chromosome. There's a gear inside here so that the identity of Kyle Brofsowski is safe, encrypted, and armored perfectly. And I would like to do a little bit of reinforcement. Um, like I'd like to put like a piece of metal that screws onto this just so that uh, Matt can really swing it hard at some dead branches. Or really, what I want to do, I know this like visualizing, what are we going to do? It's actually in a studio, and we'd have prepared breaking idol stuff, and we would take turns, and we can either we can have a mixture of like XR, like it's you can see the real person, but his head is covered with his animal wolf, helmet in CGI. But like some prepared breaking stuff in the studio, and like I'm not even sure how we're gonna do that. I mean, I think it like scales the levels of like, personal and private all the way up to like, okay, yeah, let's use this as like part of like, because it's really healthy to like, say, okay, the evils are into this branch, and then you snap and you break it, and you're like, boom, it's done. You can't undo what I just did. You have to make that application before you can learn about what's going to grow from that. It's all about the journey. You got to get there, have a journey, have an experience. That's what daylight's for. So we want to motivate people, get them excited about, connectivity and progress. Like, oh, you can get stronger. So here's a visual of four of my blades. This is the engine that you'd actually see on this blade right here. And it's like a really old engine. This is actually one of the earliest forms that I created. You know how like for the internet. And so, you know how like I was saying robots need a basic outline of their body, where you're basically telling them, okay, this is your body, and so therefore morals, and you have like a sense of, and you can travel there and there. So this is like an image of the internet that I put onto the one of my blades, and it has to do with like kind of other things. But when I do this, and then what happens is like sort of unexpected miracles where like good stories and good smells, people have beautiful moments, people find true love and stuff like that. So I kind of enjoy it, like hiding like a little Easter egg in there, and we'll spin out like here. This engine is actually the engine that makes all four of these engines work together. As you can see here, these are the four engines. I think this one is this one, which is why it has like a double thing on it. But yeah, this is an engine for actually how this engine blade works. And so this is the art piece that actually really inspired me. Oops. This is a demon that delivers blades. And I wanted to perfect. This is one of my favorite works of art. Um, and very, very old, ancient character. And I want to actually deliver the blade, the Kyle blade to Matt Stone, and the Randolph blade to Trey Parker. That's sort of like something that I'm sort of meditating on, is about like how do I get myself to California so I can give these guys their spirit blades. Yep. Here's the image of me with the fairy on my fingertip. I have a lot of a lot of wisdom. It's about the man's ability to defend the home. I've been working with the societal bloc, um, cultural images and icons working together, figuring out how to make those bridges where they can work together. I've been doing this for a long time and talking about like how artwork can be a computer and stuff. Um, so I it really is in my blood. This is a specific robot which coordinates karmic uh, payment. It's sort of like where payment is due. It's like if you did like a really good job, but then someone like took credit for your stuff, this angel will award you in the heaven and give you the secret treasure of what you really did. This is a really, I love this work of art. This is actually a cover of one of my sketchbooks. Whoops, there's Trey Parker. Um, and it's sort of this image of a meditation, and this is sort of like my a self-portrait where I'm really bright, and there's these other people that are sort of listening to what I'm saying. As sort of this meditation about me as a communicator, and you can see Master Source here. So I really love this sort of theme of a meditation, and so I am interested in conjuring up the characters from Matt Stone and getting him to perform in my CGI stuff. I just feel like absolutely a lot closer to Trey Parker, and like but that's it's not like it's not a bad thing. It's like a good thing. So here's Trey and his transformed cartoon wolf, and he's got a unicorn's horn, methods of certainty. This is one of my illustrations where I was thinking about fatherhood. Like when as it, um, this is like I drew this when I was like 18. You can see like a sort of like a Zim or like Jonan Vasquez influence on my work. Uh, but yeah, I was working with this sort of thing with like frames that would also be like a circuit board. But I was literally thinking about like, how am I gonna raise this kid? Like, I really want to have kids, and I still haven't been able to do it. The sort of justice is really very important to me, and as far as my mythos, this really is something I built when I was in my 20s, and I was learning about code and like how to control cell division. I realized like you just need like faces and names to like make it stabilize. So I needed characters in here, but it would basically render to the point where it was performing along the grid. You can see the rectangle inside the rectangle of like on the street grid of New York City, rendering a solution of social justice and helping to increase New York residents' intuition and sense of direction, just really basic amenities, but it helps me to grow as, you know, as who, Randolph Pan Williams, as my final form of bringing together American culture and preserving it and bringing it up. Now, this is an image where it's like, there's like templates of like, oh, okay, so this guy is so and so, this the first son of South Park. And basically when I put my face into it, I sort of stand up and then all these kittens are like attached to it. And then and Trey and Matt are both like, "Ah, Pan of the Wild, don't you know what you're doing? You're gonna have all the kittens from, that are attached to this vocation. God." And I'm like, dude, I know it. I know it. I'm being responsible for that, and I am responsible to you guys. And we're gonna work. We can work together to make this really healthy for both of our sides of it. And so here's the Trey Parker Wolf, and he's connected with his clockwork, and somewhere in there is his master source character also. And here's South Park integrated, but it's more like a helmet where you want to actually have the intuition of South Park. You want to actually be able to hear your own characters and have some guidance from them because they're as art, they're an early prelude to the omnipresence of God, or at least a type of parent class that serves the early template for robots and AI. And it's like something we need to talk about and meditate, and we'll go over and over it and find all the little interesting things of what of the escalade between animation and robots and AI, and like why it's like a technological incline from like standing paintings, like classic form paintings, and then animation, and then robots and AI. And like, why is that? Why is it that robots and AI are really an expression of the artist? Kyle, it's a question that you, as a father of America, are destined to answer. Is your destiny, is your true love. And it's good. Oh, so good. So fresh. It's really in the meditation of a day or in the moment or in an hour. It's really like, okay, if I'm not, what I feel like is like there have been moments where you're like, wow, I feel the entire like passion to do this entire project. I'm in. But there's other times when like the meditation's difficult and all of a sudden, I'm talking about all the different kinds of issues because there's a whole entire image of stuff with when you're running for president. It's a full thing. And I think that, you know, Matt and Trey are honestly saying, dude, that's awesome because we deal with the whole picture all the time. Don't worry about it. We have muscles. We can understand. And I'm like, yes, good. All right, awesome. But there are those times when we get tired, and for like Matt and Trey, as producers, also what they are is like an emotional rebarb where they're like, how is this going to hit America? But like, Matt's like, well, if I find this boring, I can't in good faith say that this is should be produced for people, and I understand that, and that's why like you know, it's this really like kind of whoa, it's this really tricky thing, and I do feel like there are like I think that what it is very extreme. Like I think both Matt and Trey have seen the high points where when you know when I've really boom hit a high note and you guys are like what that is like the thing that unravels this entire tension that we were sensing and we've been talking about that for years and like whoa this is amazing and so like I just hope that we can lean on those things because Matt, what I want to say to you is like I agree because honestly, and I do believe that I'm more intelligent in my performance than I was in my previous years. But there's this thing where and I think that a lot of people meditating with me on this early time has also noticed that sometimes I get to a point where it almost seems like I'm saying I'm rushing or I'm like, oh, and let's get this over with or something. No, it's absolutely not that. I'm always like, expand on your pleasure and let's make this last. Let's make this work and all that good stuff, right? But honestly, that's sort of part of my method. Like, and I'm talking to Trey, and when I'm talking to Trey, I get really personal, right? But the thing is, like, whether or not you have the energy and the strength inside your own mind to like can carry through, like, because when you're speaking, you're sort of the idol of that spirit perfection or pivot point or whatever. And that's what I was trying to explain about like um is that in the future I'm going to be able to have the energy that upholds just the head because it's like when people are watching me it's kind of like they go on the same travel as what I'm going on and like I can also like sort of feel the audience and that's to my strength and yet right now it's being used I'm like being sabotaged a little bit because the world is suffering and there's a depression and a system of the down. And so like if the idea is like, oh, if this guy isn't strong enough to withstand some tugging that happens in the tug of war of public ambiance, then he's not going to be able to carry his own initiative. But I'm saying like I'm here limping, okay, because of my situation, I'm stricken and I don't have the resources that I should have. So I'm saying my performance will become stronger. Okay. And so we need to hold that as a producer and as an adult and not just be like, oh, this makes me feel tired or I feel angry at this person. And then therefore we shouldn't because I'm simply I'm performing something of a witness, but to be really enlightened, that's what it is. It's almost like we're having a nightmare, but we need to do the enlightened thing and transcend it, even though, like, basically no one else is telling us to do it. Well, that's supposed to be the empowerment and the freedom of a man in his own body is that he's like, oh, I'm able to do that, and no one else is telling me to do it. All right. So, and Trey and I have been talking about that. Trey, I give you the freedom to make those honest and awesome investments, and you're your own king, Trey. All right. So I don't put stuff on you that damages those professional nodes. I'm I'm on that. Okay. This is so important to me. This is everything to me. Running for president. And I see it as this true love epiphany because it's going to be so awesome for Americans. And I see a way that it can be so awesome for South Park. But Matt, I need your help to make it that way. So I ask you to be a strength in California during this tenuous time where I'm trying to figure out how am I going to get myself to California. I registered your advance, Matt. You committed to completing my challenge. And so I was sort of cornered by my own angels and spirits, and they wrangled me into designing the Kyle blade. And it took a lot of meditation last night to sort of think about it because I was going over the blade and all the markings and stuff. It's very particular, but I'm hoping you're the kind of person that says, "Oh, good, it's an ancient blade. That's even better." But I prepared it in such a way so that there's still, the types of sensitivity that Kyle will need to wield this blade in the cartoon. But it's sort of this thing that does hinge on the production. It's like if you guys produce me, then you'll have the chance to pick up this magnificent ancient blade and actually wield it and defeat some serious stuff. And like I said, like the purest form of the breaking point technique is in the forest where there's these like dead branches, and I don't even know how far we'd have to go in California to find a tree that had little branches on it that were like fragile enough to break. Anyway, but really the enlightened application is to do this in a studio. And I was even thinking, I'd really like to perform a sort of boxing epiphany, and I'd have like these, targets around me and just go and actually break them like with my hands. But then like XR, like a wolf, a green wolf cowl over that, and just be like, and that would be like a crescendo of like a segment where I'm talking about an application of like the things we're w- working against. You know, stop the miscommunication, stop the confusion, stop the worst of it. Boom, it's done. So the Traypan seed, or regulating it, and we're condoning something wonderful is happening, a real graduation, an epiphany in the light, in the kingdom of reality, and a graduation from Matt Stone. Welcome to the Brotherhood of the Light, Matt Stone. Correct. Congratulations on the most magnificent sword, the Kyle Brofsowski. I am the first son of South Park. I have created myself. And I am running for President of the United States. 2020 elect. Green Wolf. So avoiding the conflict, the static, and the business of the Republicans and Democrats as they try to narrow down the decision between a turd sandwich and a giant douche. The Green Wolf is this elusive and, as prior, unperfected territory of truly a voice and a hero of America and something that is built for them. And it's going to be interactive, it's going to be powerful. The Green Wolf app is going to open things up and change the marketplace. We're going to be interacting with things like, institutions, which are sort of the family background, Netflix and Amazon and these other types of standards, which they're like the imitation of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, a true maverick. Trey Parker and Matt Stone came in here, and you guys are right on the clip. You're advanced. You're still youthful, right? You got, there's a lot of like A-list celebrities, Jack Nicholson and a couple that I would list, but they're like those guys are seriously, are like older people. You guys are still in your prime. That's incredible. You guys really aced your movement of your career jump and everything. You guys are those pioneers that got in early. And I think that these little corporate buggies are a sort of comment about the internet and a sort of transformation that's inappropriate, a transformation into technology that didn't actually really help people out. In fact, injured the community of culture of like going out to the mall and shopping, but also like other things like the online dating was also harmful. Like there's a lot of weird stuff here. Now, you know, in a certain way you could say, well, it's humanity's job to figure out technology. Yeah, but it's also a parental job from the men to not put, pimp apps up that basically feed off of the daughters of America through this date sim where as if that this is, oh, you're going into the cyber sphere by online dating. I mean, like, I don't, you guys probably don't know much as much as I do about it, but there really was an evolution of these dating apps where at the beginning they were really bad, and they would like they would have like all these ratings of like whether or not they're putting out, whether or not there was a thing, and all like this, and then the guys would pay for this app, and then they would have access to this. Like, they was seriously, you know, it was a criminal prostitution that the our the industry of men had no ability to identify what it was. They're like, oh, what is this internet? It's so weird. But so here I am talking about like how animation is the pure form to ascend the robots and AI and the relationship with the technology. Mhm. And so, Matt, there is a time when I'm going to ask you to challenge yourself to perform a character um, in the motion capture studio that I'm talking to you guys about building um, in California. And then what I'm asking you to do is to not hold back your talent and say, "Oh, I'm taking advantage." It's really that we're on a mature level where we're like, we need to do what's right for America and parent this situation and be intelligent. Because you're right, there's a screaming need for this amount of intelligence, and that is explained in like how opulent this opportunity is. And that's the most basic level of logic, where it's saying supply and demand, definitely this is wanted. This is definitely going to fly. And like that's kind of like, whoa. And so you want to go up to this place where you're having the right epiphanies and stuff. hmm And you've done it, Matt Stone. You've done it. You've walked the hard road meditating with me, and you've transcended and you've accepted my challenge to be a great father of America. And so when we do work together, I want you to not hold back. I want you to give them your fullest expression because you're not a timid person. And the Matt and Trey thing is not something that uh, yeah, I want to be the son of South Park that reinvents Matt and Trey and reignites the passion of a friendship, two brothers in the night who conquered Hollywood and devoured her. Is good. And I'm asking you also to understand a type of urgency my best friend Brent Clockers is in a living situation where he's reaching impasse and he might lose his opportunity with us if we do not begin. But I also, he's Jewish and this really amazing person. And I'm seeing the sort of production as being paired in this newfound way where it's like a father son project. And so I'm not challenging you to do this, but I'm hoping that you would sort of embrace Brent as your pro- like protege or what is it called? Like, I don't know, but I know he looks up to you, Matt. And as an alpha, and I've always been a lone wolf, I think that Trey understands it. And Trey and I have gone deep to a point where we had like a psychic thing where I could tell that this was really important to America and that this was really powerful. And I'm feeling it. And I want to thank you guys. And I want to believe right now, let's let the Trey Pan Seed take over and allow that this is a meditation where we're having the graduation of Matt Stone, where he's receiving the Kyle blade. And like I said, like there's like a couple things, um, like ideally, like it's ready to be used now, but like ideally, I would like to get like some more customized things, like you guys making your own patterns. Both of the swords, the Randolph and the Kyle, if you flip them over, the backside is basically bare wood, and so there's this thing where you guys could be doing some some stuff and we could get that in there. And I was thinking like maybe edge the tip with metal, or one of my blades. I'm thinking about like putting some lights in it. So, and like, but solidifying it with clear resin, and reinforcing the joint of the on the Kyle blade between the handle and the blade with some metal pieces. Um, Stuff that I could do myself, but would be awesome if we like got it custom made and stuff. There is like a story behind those two other blades in the photographs. I'm not going to get to it because right now I'm feeling the cozy glow and I'm believing that we can herald this meditation as a birthday party and make the next step. I don't want to be the one giving excuses for us against, progressing. So we're always doing that and I believe you guys are there. Um, but also it's like the climate and it's also like who I need to be running that fast to win election. It's sort of these two different things where I'm like Trey, can you see that? And I think that I've been that consistently. But what I'd really like to do is be the gentleman where I'm just like all the time perfect, 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 and nailing it with you guys. But honestly, like there's like I'm also I've never in my life I've never called anyone else other than my own birth father or dad. I've never done this in my life before. It's the first time when I'm extending myself to someone like Trey and asking him to be my dad. And also, I mean, part of the thing is that Robin Williams would also then be considered my spirit dad, spirit animals, or whatever. It's about like helping the youth understand a relationship with celebrities that is like father son, and just be like, hey, it's okay, it's a lot of changing diapers, but it's also a lot of hard work, and it's also a lot of brotherly love, the community, the brotherhood of light, where we have sympathy for each other, and we support each other to complete one's other half. In a lifetime, a man has a life, and all along while he's living his life, right next to him is his true love bride, his wife. And so That's what we uphold and we support. All that is good. It's powerful. Well, we are in a new phase of what we're doing. It is the most advanced phase and the most sort of perfect phase. Okay, because what I've been doing is it's not that whilst I've been working with Trey, I've been like silently in the shadow, cutting off options and stuff. No, it's just been that Trey is deciding when it is that he will connect with me and say, yes, that is alignment. This is when I want to produce you. This is what the agreement point, and I'm willing to use the communication physics. Boom. But you'd say Trey was communicating with you in his way with South Park, and he's watching, and so that's all that. You're right, and that's absolutely there. But what I'm talking about is running for president, and so I've been pushing him to help me to get there because what I need is this type of energy, this type of support, and I am asking for his performance. I do feel that just an idea like, oh, all I need is motion capture studio. Well, that might be technically true. Like I said, it would be a narrow thing. I'd have 60% approval rating on my own. But with you guys working with us, I'm seeing like, a 90% approval rating. And that's basically the entire country. And it would just be great to defeat the Electoral College with people voting Green Party and be like, boom, total victory for them. Smash, breaking point, perfection. And then the other thing, where I'm talking about defeating money, it's really with you guys. I think if I could get you to understand to produce this for the right reasons, that would be a prelude to my defeat of the money crisis because money is not really a crisis for rich people. It's only a crisis for the poor. And so that's a no-brainer. That's like, okay, the government just needs to be overhauled so that it's viewing this sort of economy in a different way, so that paying for amenities for poor people doesn't exhaust the budget. It needs to come from a different location, which is why I'm talking about cracking open the dollar and making it simply behave in different ways. And I think a lot of people are be like, oh, that's probably been tried before, or someone's thought of that before. No, this is the first time that this has ever been an idea. And that's what I'm so good at. And that's why I had to put myself into solace meditation is so that I could come up with my own stuff. And so I've got a backlog of like 20 years, and like when I'm having this epiphany with Trey Parker, like I'm returning to myself and I'm like, oh, like I remember what I was supposed to do. Like I was literally, the crunch of like everything around me was starting to tell me that, you really are an oddball, Mr. Pan. It's all about this like serious life stuff and about, the quest of a man and becoming a hero and achieving it and perfecting it and, being also um conscious with your country and being present with, oh, that, and ultimately, comedy and satire really was the best way to talk about those things in the past. I'm asking you to challenge yourself to say, okay, now I'm an adult. Can we inspire like an even more effective way to overhaul the American engine? So I think you guys have the hero bloodline deep in you, and I'm connecting that through the Kyle and the Eric Cartman. Trepan Seed, projecting the greatest possible design into the future on all levels. Levels relief. Omega Pan. 444. Omega Pan. So, I really love my name, Randolph Payne Williams. I'm like it's sort of I had this epiphany when I was transcending and I was in the heat of South Park and everything, and I was meditating with you guys. And I was also watching when the episodes actually came out, and so I was meditating with the South Park community as it is today. But I'm someone who's been a South Park member since the beginning. South Park is singular. I don't really group it into my with my mind with anything else. It's almost like because it's one of the threads of honor that I have when like when America does something really good, like Walt Disney cartoons, when they do a really good one, that's when I feel like, oh yeah, Earth love like everyone's loving us because of this awesome Walt Disney film. It gives me respect, self-respect. That's what South Park does. It gives me self-respect because I know that other countries see it. They they struggle to understand. Well, first of all, it's great that they struggle to understand what Americans might be saying. That's hilarious. But I mean, they're watching and they can tell that it's like intelligent and it's not selling sex. It's like oh, this is animation. You look anywhere else at animation and they're selling the female images a lot, and I'm just saying like that's catering to it on a different level, and South Park just doesn't do that, and it's powerful and it's effective and it's great. It's good. My performance is only going to increase and become stronger and stronger as a performer. I only do things when I'm positive, and I'm positive about Trey Parker. I'm positive about my name change. It is the last form of my transformation through my life, where I staggered to transform my name a few times, and this is sort of when things exploded for me, and also like certain things even in my art world, and I'm so close with my art. I'm basically my art is my children. And when I saw the sword delivery demon character, something clicked into place, and I was like, oh. And then it opened up about the Kyle blade. And I was like, oh gosh. And like, but that was like a whole age. Well, when I was able to make swords, I had a wood shop. It was back there, and so here's like a whole chapter of my life when I had spiritual blades and I was operating in the forest in meditation, and for real, that was like that's kind of who I am, is Pan of the Wild, someone who navigates through the wild trees and communicates with the water and the energy and the time. That's my favorite thing about myself is that I am a lone wolf. And honestly, the reason that Brent is my best friend is because he's the only person that stuck with me my whole thing. I met him in art school. I have a degree in fine arts and film, and Brent was the same. And he called me his well, I taught him how to paint and we made films together. I think we still have that footage somewhere. But honestly, I'm also looking forward, and like you can see if you look at the history of my pictures that I sort of I'm really interested in being an idol, and I'm curious about modeling and stuff. But what I'm like in my sense of imagination and all that, I remember when I transformed myself into Master Source for an entire year, my face got all puffy and my cheeks were like, "Brow," like my face literally got round, and I was like, oh, this is an unforeseen. I couldn't have anticipated this. No, that's funny. Oh man, no, no, no. But that was actually, it's a kind of an exciting sign. It's like, whoa, I've really changed my spirit face, and so that sort of gave me this sort of like the fairy on the tip of my finger gave me like an insight about things, and so I go at it like a little different way, and to the degree where like I'm seeing like I see how the government and the communication industry is, and you can see how they're going at it, and it's like, oh wow, that's brutal. Like that is not gonna so you end up being like they're all talking in tongues. It's like difficult. So we want to really bring it back to the focus and true love and the king and queen style stuff. And I'm not trying to put like I don't have an overarching pan philosophy about how everything in this universe is built only is for the garden resident. That's actually that's not the answer of everything. It's not, but it's a physical thing that is an institution which can be applied for and it can actually have an energetic recourse like that bunny suit, and you lift up and all the bunnies go with it. Like if you say I am so and so and I am so and so, then the spirit kind of like obliges in a certain way, and you can see that on the stage. It really makes the political stage like that, literally. And also interesting thing about technology breaching up, but with these actors, because the actors really are being molded into actually being a person who is in part those characters that they were performing as. It's really interesting, but it seems to it does change the actors a little, but after they get through that colossal turbine, the result is not people who are then vigorous and ready to run for president and, oh, I've been with the people and now I can represent that. That's not happened. And so the Pan of the Wild is a totally different Maverick from a different direction. And I was on public access actually creating the armor and talking about, surviving the energy of people's observation and, but also perfecting their meditation with me. It's so difficult when you're in a climate where the appropriate amount of being selfish is made like illegal. Is like oppressed. Like, oh, don't be selfish to the degree where you survive another day. Well, that's the anti-life force. That's against survival. And it really is that you need to be passionate and kind of selfish in a way for yourself, because when you do that, you're taking care of the all self. You're the only self in your body. So if you take care of yourself, then you're taking care of all these other people you're quote unquote seeing. Because we all, and anyway, it creates a template which is a good copy for other people, like a parental image template, where you're saying, "Oh no, you can see that I'm leading by example, and like with common sense, like yeah, you should be this amount of selfish about your thing." And also that reminds me about our thing about like Master Source Industries and South Park Studios. I'm actually asking you, Trey, to manage that business. Like, I don't know, like, I want you to give me my cut or my side of things in such a degree where you're like, I'm being good to my South Park son. This Randolph Pan Williams, I'm giving him a good deal. And what that's going to look like, I don't know, man, because I'm going to be tunnel vision. I'm going to just be working on my performance and doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, all that paperwork and stuff is in the back about like, I'll just say, well, just put my stuff into investment because I know that's going to come back. So let's just build on that. But as a professional, you understand, and this is absolutely real, is that my sights are set on winning the election. You understand? So I can't really be distracted by these sorts of hodgety podgety things because we need to protect our motivation, but the underlying sort of feel or yeah, motivation, I guess, is the right word. Like we need to protect that because I am an authentic Zen master, right? And so if you guys produce me, you protect me in a certain way that like no other group or institution would have the intuition to do. They probably just push me out there and and like let whatever happens happens. That's you know I'm talking about a family. I'm talking about marrying our family trees, Trey Parker. And I think that that's important for this thing to work. Like the whole thing with the name Randolph Pan Williams, I saw it is the completion of my name. Like I've long like been wanting to legally change my name, but I never really had the wherewithal just to get it done. This is finally like I recognize myself, and I also am falling in love with America, and I'm feeling more and more desperate to communicate with them and begin my work with them and all this. But the whole thing about like I had an insight about how the name and the thing with uh, Robin Williams is like essential to a certain curvature to understand something about our progress and like it and it's a little bit complicated, but I think it will explain itself when it's time to do so. And like Like, I don't even feel like I've done it justice yet myself, but I know that it's this super force that's going to be like the Japan event. Like the whole thing with Japan and talking about returning to honor with them, that's like a large pedal on the reasons of why I would get elected president. And I'm thinking the thing with Robin Williams is like a whole pedal of its own. And I'm not seeing it all yet. But it's totally there. Yeah. So, but there's also these other elements about you guys, like Trey and Matt, as being sort of parts of the what this is. And I am saying like there is a time when, well, there'll be like the entire thing doesn't only depend on Matt and Trey performing, but I think like more and more it will get so that we're situated in a way that Matt and Trey don't feel like that they're the ones making this happen, or other that they're that they're supplying the conservative views or whatever. I mean, that's all. No one in their right mind is going to be thinking that stuff. I mean, that stuff would be invited anyone. Everyone's going to be like, well, what do these guys? What do they think? But I think honestly, in Matt and Trey's hearts, they're like, I understand what you're saying, but honestly, like that's not our temptation. Like we're not drawn to be political, and so I respect that. But I ask you to respect your son because I am drawn to political vocation. I'm asking you to support that and produce it. I will be able to make back the investment and give you guys a boost, and so that we're all on the level, free and clear, right? And that's about it. This meditation is absolutely perfect and is complete. And I'm so grateful that you are here. Thank you, Matt and Trey. True love is the answer. Um, there's so many things I want to talk with you guys about, but really we need to focus on how do we manage ourselves and our situations and this thing and that thing to begin recording motion capture studio work. And I feel like, you guys have experience with movie making. I want you to reinvent that whole thing and cater it in your own way because I'm going to be doing my thing on it also because like I see it as perfect. Like if you understand, like it'll take some conversation for us to make that the pilot. And I was like, you understand, like while that's happening, and like Matt can pop by. Oh, would it be okay if I stop by your studio, such and such a time? Oh yeah, Matt, that would be great. And like it just fits in, because we're making this pilot, and then Trey's like, well, yeah, he wants to be there when they're installing the stuff, and I want to understand it, and so we'd both be there and sort of setting it up and talking about like different types of arranging the editing desk, and there's a viewing window or there's a TV, stuff like that. That's all awesome and intuitive stuff. But if you're thinking like, oh, when are we gonna have time to like go through all these issues and really pinpoint what we want to talk about? It's right there. It's right there. And there's that season of the yawning of a pilot that says like, yeah, all that. And that's really what I'm going to be intuitive about because inside the trailer is like footage of things that I'm only going to be releasing or talking about like after I get elected. But again, I'm talking about like I think that Trey can understand some of the enlightened sparks of what I'm saying, but what I need to get into is a position where we're producing the images that explain the enlightened images in total. That Trey Parker as an adult and a visionary and like a king of Earth. And he's like all over it. And he's just sensing like pops and he's like, whoa, that's like a total epoch. So, oh, that's an entire career. You know, these little segments of like what we were talking about is like a shaving of like you can see an entire lifetime behind it. Okay, so but Trey's very advanced and very powerful in this way. I'm saying like what we need to get into is a position where Randolph Pan Williams has production and all of his ideas get sort of illustrated out like this. And so that we're parenting a full renaissance of the highest value and a revolution of a new found way sprung from the Trey Pan seed. Yes, yes. And that's about it. You know, and it's so like temptuous when we're meditating here and just to think about like, oh, whoa, well, what is it that he is going to be viewing? And oh, you know, I know what he's talking about. Well, I probably not. You probably don't actually. I'm like, what I'm saying is like I'm going to use your guys' fantasies to run my turbine anyway. So you guys are part of this meditation, and that's completely okay. So your thoughts are part of the progress, but I'm encouraging you to be a hero and be like, oh, this is gonna be the best thing ever. Yeah, yeah, smash. That's the type of feeling that we can put into this thing, and it will stay like a broken branch. It will continue, and that's for like actually appreciating like what we do in a day. And like what I'm explaining is that that stuff's all recorded. It's all part of the analogs of time as recorded by the perfect circle that is in our perception. So we look forward. Thank you, Matt and Trey. Matt, congratulations on graduating to the ascension of having your own spirit blade. As far as we're related, I hope we're making progress, and I thank you for accepting my challenge to parent America. I'm inviting you to do even more and help us to get started on this production. Thank you, South Park Studios. It is good. True love is the answer. Is good.